How's it going, everybody? Timeline Junkie here. I wanted to do a quick update video on Letterhead, and on my YouTube, most of the people that follow me on here seem to be here for Letterhead. That's the main thing that gets engagement and responses from people. I appreciate all of you, and so if you are into it, please let me know if you can, sort of why you don't watch the other stuff I do. There's no right or wrong answer. I just kind of am curious. There's only so much information you can glean from analytics and things like that. But I wanted to get on here and I wanted to talk about Letterhead and sort of where we're at right now. And this will just be sort of a nerdy breakdown video for people that are fans of it already. So when I started this Letterhead trailer, this is the first one that I ever made. This was the first AI video I think I ever made. I had made one Godzilla one prior to it, but it was like barely close to this, and Runway had come out in between those two times, I think. But regardless, this was the first thing I had uploaded as Timeline Junkie and sort of got some sort of recognition for. I was mostly posting to TikTok back then. And this trailer, still to this day, when I go back and watch it, it feels like a lifetime ago, even though it was only like 8 months. The technology has moved forward so far, and my abilities with it have. But I'm still very proud of this trailer because it definitely captures the vibe I was looking for with the series itself. And when I had made this trailer, I just literally made it as a trailer. I didn't really have too much more to go. I just wanted to see what the capability with the technology was and where it was at. And especially with voice cloning, I was really, really interested in that. And so this definitely got the response that I wanted. And it was very interesting to see and to get thrust into sort of the political content world once it got kind of noticed, because I had been uploading Letterhead stuff. I did this one, and I want to say I had done maybe 2 of these before it went viral. So I'll go ahead and pause this one real quick. But one last thing about that, the concept trailer for Letterhead, it does contain elements that are pretty much followed through in the whole story, and it just captures the vibe of what the story is and what I was kind of going for. It's a clear-cut example of just like a spec trailer, and yeah, that's kind of all it was to me. And then once I saw the response to it and I started seeing people say like, oh, I would watch this movie and stuff, I'm like, all right, well, I could start filling this out and start doing more things in this style. So I had made, I want to say this one, the Joe Biden version trailer. This is the first vertical one I made.
I've served my country for 40 years. I can't let all that be undone by a rotten.
And still one of the favorite videos I've ever done, actually. I think I can't find that particular voice clone of Biden that I used, but it was one of my better ones. And that's what's funny about this is actually dialogue from a scene that will appear in Act 3. So early on, I had tons and tons of sort of scattered scene ideas, and then it was just a matter of sort of piecing them together with the real timeline of what actually happened. And so then right after the election, Lame Duck, well, I didn't call it Lame Duck. I forget. I don't think this ever even had an official title. This is just a little short minute-long video I made of Obama and Trump talking, because this was sort of when everybody was talking about this secret sort of Joe Biden trying to fuck over the Democrats after the election, after they booted him out, you know? So this was sort of the ending of the entire movie that I just sort of dropped on its own as a thing. And even though I know it's not the actual ending, it's sort of how I viewed it. I wanted to show sort of the beginning and the end. And just that big reveal of like, you know, hey man, sorry I screwed you over, but I'm trying to protect my family, and you thought I was stupider than I was, but I've been in Washington a long time. I know how to like cover my own ass, and you don't cross somebody like me. It was kind of a badass moment and portrayal of Joe Biden. I thought it was kind of him like getting one final jab in before they really kick him out. So, but mostly reused footage from other Letterhead stuff I had. A lot of the early Letterhead stuff, it was mostly made from like 3 different batches of generations that I did. So, okay, so that one sort of, that one went viral. Somebody stole it off my TikTok and dropped it on X, and then that started going around some of the bigger right-wing accounts. And they were cool though. I hit them up. They tagged me in it eventually and stuff, but the videos still didn't go to. I could have easily been monetized in a matter of days on Twitter, had my shit just not been stolen. But hey, whatever. You know, play with fire, you get burnt. That's just the world we live in now. So what this is sort of the greater content map that I have built for Letterhead, and this is sort of just how I view the entire, for lack of a better word, IP or property. So you know, here we obviously, this is Letterhead Act 1 that came out a couple months back. Act 2 also came out a couple months back. It was been a while, and then we have Act 3 that will be coming out here, I would say, in a couple months. I've taken Act 3, I've taken my time with it. Number one, because I don't want to miss any actual real life bombshell facts that are going to come out about the Biden administration. And a lot of stuff has come out in between since I made Act 2 and Act 3. And a lot more is probably going to have come out by the time Act 3 comes out. And so that's sort of the interesting thing about what I'm doing with Letterhead, and at least to me, is this idea of you're telling this narrative, but you're like doing it in real time, and you're trying to get it as close to the mark, historically accurate, you know, as you can, because in this day and age, you can. And so these 3 acts will all make up the feature film, and the feature film, the director's cut, will contain a lot of the content that we see in these, but it will be in the form of just scenes. It'll be actually like, it won't just be these shoved into the movie. It'll be new scenes. And, you know, when I'm making these, I have a lot of ideas for little scenes that I'd love to put in there, but it just sort of, it's just not going to vibe with the timeline, and it's going to throw off the pace of the story. And it's like, it's an idea that just needs a little more thought out, and I need a better angle. And so that's what I'm planning on doing with the feature film. My goal is to have the feature film, director's cut, remaster, whatever you want to call it, completely finished by the end of the year. And that one, a lot of stuff in Letterhead Act 1 will be fixed. A lot of the early scenes. I'm getting my George Lucas on. I'm trying to make special editions, but these versions will always be preserved as the episodes of the initial thing. So branching off from this, we've got the soundtrack. Once Act 3 is out, I'm going to break down all the music I've made for all 3 of these and release it as an actual soundtrack for the movie, because, like, why not? So other content that I've made, if you remember, if you've been a Timeline Junkie follower for a while, we made the smoking tapes. This is sort of the saga of the cigarette smoking man from X-Files and Joe Biden. And a lot of this is just about UFO related stuff, but it was satire. It was funnier, satire type things. And then also, this was still one of my favorite AI videos I think I've ever made, was Joe Biden going into the jungle, and he just keeps going into the jungle and sort of becomes a jungle river god type character. And you know, can't show this on YouTube because the fucking copyright with the song and stuff. But I do plan on having a sort of absurdist version of Letterhead as well that is more comedic, and it's sort of like in the universe in the way that shit, I'll probably get this taken down just for playing that. It's in the Letterhead universe in the way that Deadpool is in the Marvel universe, if that makes sense. It's sort of an alternate timeline that doesn't affect the main canon, but involves the same characters and might involve the same events. And there might be little Easter eggs in here that relate to stuff in here, and vice versa, maybe. But yeah, so that's another angle I've got. So around the time of the Hunter Biden pardon and that whole thing kind of coming back up, and I made this sort of spin-off trilogy that is more Hunter Biden related. This one was basically, it's like a video about what it's like from the webcam, from Joe Biden's perspective, or from Hunter Biden's perspective for the most part. And also it gets copyrighted because I used the song Smack My Bitch Up by The Prodigy. And because it was very fitting for how the original video was. But I wanted to sort of show a day in the life of Hunter Biden and what that would look like. Obviously, the film My Son Hunter was a big inspiration for Letterhead. And I wanted to do this and kind of take it to the extreme. So this is more or less sort of a movie trailer for what the Biden spinoff will be. And then this one is sort of a comedic kind of spoof, but it's definitely Letterhead canon. And this is of Karine Jean-Pierre talking with Jen Psaki. And they're talking about Hunter's pardon and what it's like to have to explain all the crazy shit that Joe Biden does. All of these are on YouTube, by the way. You can go see all of these except the POV video. That is not, I need to make new music from scratch for that, so I don't have to use that song, and it really makes me sad that I have to do that. But this one was definitely funnier. I wanted to make like a Hunter Biden spinoff that's sort of like darker, a little more edgy. I'm really trying to take a lot of the cussing out of my stuff. I do way too much cussing when I write, and I cuss too much in real life, and I'm trying to stop, and it's really hard. But anyway, so these I was making in real time, sort of as the events are happening. And then the final one is Pardon Me, which is, this is sort of the conversation. Joe Biden's lost the election at this point. Everybody hates him. He's talking with Hunter about the pardon, and Hunter's like, kind of bittersweet, relieved that he's not going to jail, but he hates that he got pardoned. He's been pardoned for everything he's done in his life. He's never actually had to face consequences, and it's because of his dad's career, but as a result, he's never had to get better. He's never had to really change for the better. And yeah, it's one of my favorite works that I've done, actually. I really enjoyed this conversation between them. There's sort of 3 little mini conversations within it. I really love the music I made. And I think, showed the darkness of the Biden family. And but also the sort of the kinship and the love between Joe and Hunter. And how, in a way, even though Bo is like the immortal, the son that, it's like the wrong kid died. Like, it's very much those vibes, as shitty as that is to say. It's a perfect fitting scenario. But I think he feels closer to Hunter in that way. I feel like he sees more of himself in Hunter than he does in Bo in some ways. And because Joe Biden is rumored to have, a lot of proclivities that Bo shares. And I don't think that you become someone, or that Hunter shares, I'm sorry. You don't become someone like that without some sort of influence. And, So I tried not to put a bunch of the salacious Hunter Biden laptop stuff into the Letterhead proper story, because, as I'll explain, the Letterhead proper story is really about the 25 days between, when the debate happens and when he drops out. That period of time, just that little microcosm, that's the lens we're looking at it through. And then all of the other stuff, a lot of this bonus content is kind of like stuff that's outside of that timeline, or was happening during that timeline, but from the Republican perspective, maybe. I'm thinking about making a sort of the way that when Clint Eastwood made Flags of Our Fathers, he also made Letters from Iwo Jima. I would like to make a conservative version, not a conservative version, but like a version from the Republican perspective of Letterhead. And basically one that, like, sort of what was the Trump campaign like? What was all that sort of alliance forming like with him and Elon? And we know how that turned out. It'd be interesting to see now that we've had like 100 days of Trump's presidency, and we've sort of seen the outcome of what a lot of these key players were. That's an interesting story to me. So it would maybe pick up probably at the time of the assassination, and then move forward, or the assassination attempt, I'm sorry. It would probably pick up there, start there, and then we would move forward past where the Letterhead timeline goes, even beyond lame duck. which sort of reveals that Donald Trump had a hand in Joe Biden throwing the election in a way, and purposely tanking Kamala's campaign, kind of. And also, Art of the Deal is an event that happens in between Act 2 and Act 3. I was really proud of Art of the Deal. I like this as well. This is the conversation that Trump has with Biden after the assassination attempt fails, and he basically says, like, hey, man, if you guys can't even kill me, like, you might as well give up. But I've got some silver lining if you do. And here's what you do if you really want to fuck over Barack Obama. And he sort of plays that hatred of Barack Obama that we've been setting up in Act 1, and the betrayal of Barack Obama after the presidency of Joe Biden's campaign. I try to cover all that stuff. That's all pretty well documented in real life. We've also got ones in here of
I can't believe it's fucking good.
that's the conversation of him convincing Kamala to run. Again, something that's sort of in between, and I'm going to remake it and actually make it part of Act 3. The conversation, we haven't really seen or heard from Kamala in the whole story yet, so she gets saved for Act 3. She's a very big player in Act 3. So anyway, yeah, but the potential, I don't know if I would call it Letterhead. Letterhead specifically relates to the climax of this movie. So I might call it something different, but it would share and be inside of the Letterhead universe. I don't know. I am very Trumped out, to be honest with you. Like, I've never made a ton of Trump content because it's just like, dude, like, everything is about him and has been for 10 years now. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's what you want to make. That's cool. But I think that's what makes Letterhead interesting, is that it's a sort of right-wing perspective on just left-wing stuff and Democrat politics. And so, the way I'm doing Letterhead with the episodes is, this is very much about the politics of the Democrat Party and Joe Biden's actual inner cabinet. This is about the politics of the United States and the globe. And this is all about the politics of, like, this is like the Hearts of Darkness, like, final layer. And it's about, like, death and the politics of, like, his family and his legacy and all the stuff that sort of really matters. These dream sequences that we've been seeing all through the movie that he keeps going back to, that's sort of like his inner soul or his inner decent part of him calling, calling out to him or whatever. So, the movie will conclude here. And then I know for a fact I've got a Letterhead sequel ready. And I've got 2 sequel ideas that I'm more than likely going to combine into one idea, which is, because I got to be honest, I fucking love using Joe Biden as a character. He's actually a really interesting dude. And he's just like the voice, and I don't know, he's just like the epitome of just fake fucking boomer politician. Just fake the whole way down, a complete construct, but also really authentic in a weird way. And just corrupt. Just a fucking corrupt, nepotistic piece of shit. So yeah, it'll time will tell what happens with the sequel, and if I'm going to continue to do this, at least immediately after this is done. Probably not. I have like 4 or 5 other movie ideas I want to go through. And my plan was to sort of have this continue on and hire other storytellers and have other people that are maybe interested in making this with me to sort of fill out the rest of the timeline, like a lot of the before Letterhead stuff, the after Letterhead stuff, and just use this as a giant continuous timeline to keep telling this version of the story. And so if you are interested in that, if you're interested in AI video, or you're a writer, and this is something that you think is cool and something you want to play with, definitely reach out to me. Because I'm looking for more people to help me start working on this, because while I love it and it's been cool and fun to do, by the time I'm done with Act 3, I know I'm going to be done with politics for a little while. So, and I've got, other big movies that are already like really, really planned out. As you can see, I've got all this stuff I'm developing. potential client stuff, YouTube stuff. There's a lot of shit I'm working on. So anyway, yeah. So that's Letterhead, man. That's a content map. Everybody that has watched it and supported it so far, I appreciate you. And my kids are stomping around upstairs, and so I got to get off here. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and if you like the videos, please tell a friend about them. If you know somebody who specifically would be into this stuff, because I know it's weird, it's niche, it's not for everybody, and but I'm really proud of it, and I like doing it, and I want to continue it, and because I think it could be pretty important if people use this technology in this way, at least for media in general, but also just being able to tell our narrative of the story better, or the truth of a story better than they are. AI is really, really good for that. So anyway, yeah, I love you guys. I'm proud of you, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching Letterhead.